on to today's Monday morning AMA. So this is gonna be numero tres. So I'm really excited to get into this one because it's going to be a styling tutorial. When I first got this wig, which is an Eve by Envy in Chocolate Cherry, which I adore, by the way, everyone kept complimenting me on how my neck looked and asking me how did I get this bang to stay off my face like this? Well, the truth of the matter is that this particular Eve came with this nicely steamed front. But I have this other Eve that I bought afterwards. Great wig. I love this wig. Very underrated, I think. It's very cute on. So this is an Eve by Envy in Toasted Sesame. And notice it keeps flopping in my face. When I put on the one in Chocolate Cherry, let me show you what it does. Because I wore this one to the beach for about 3 weeks and it held up like a champ. So check this out. And then all I have to do is shake my head and it goes right back into place because it's steamed up and away from my face. So today I'm gonna show you how to steam your bangs. This is what you're gonna need.
For this particular tutorial, you're going to need several things. For one, you're really gonna want some sectioning clips. You'll want a comb. I recommend Jon Renau's wide tooth comb for synthetics. You'll want some sort of table clamp. Doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't matter if it's suction or traditional. You'll also want the Jon Renau wig steamer specifically because we're doing more than just straightening out the hair. You'll want the concentrated direction for your airflow. And then you'll need a wig or two. That's probably important. You'll also want some T-pins, a canvas block head, because, I mean, frankly, if you're going to do any kind of customizations whatsoever to the hair, you really want to just invest in the canvas block heads. You cannot use styrofoam with the steamer. It will melt. The canvas block head's really the best way to go. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I started off with this and ended up with this.
And check this part out. It goes right back into place. I'm going to start with this table clamp. It could be any table clamp. It doesn't really matter as long as it doesn't scratch whatever surface you're working on.
So now that that's secure, I'm going to make sure this thing can't move too much.
All right, I'm using my kitchen because the lighting's better in here. And in fact, you don't even need any really, expensive equipment or anything aside from the basics. You really should have a canvas blockhead. You should have some kind of table clamp. In all honesty, I do recommend this Jon Renau wig steamer. It's got a concentrated tip that also comes with an even more concentrated hose tip that we're not going to even be using for this. It makes it a lot easier to curl set synthetic hair. It also will help you do what we're doing today, among other things. It gives you a lot of versatility with your wigs. And it's a great way to style your Futura or heat-friendly fiber too. Really, I don't want to get too boring about the physics of it, but the wet heat is distributed more evenly so you don't get hot spots so it doesn't melt the hair. I'm gonna fill this up with some distilled water that I've got back there. You want to use distilled water with your steamers, regardless of whatever kind you're using, because it prevents corrosion and gunk getting in the hair. So make sure it is distilled water. We're gonna go ahead and do that right now. The great thing about the Jon Renau steamer is it has a very, very, very deep reservoir. Another great thing about this steamer, because it's made specifically for wigs, in addition to the concentrator tip, is that you can turn it on and off. It doesn't just turn on whenever you plug it in. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in and get it heated up. I'm gonna grab some section clips, and while that's heating up, I'm going to position the hair where I want it. Make sure that the part is right, because I mean, we're about to train this into submission.
Okay, you guys can see that a little better now. This is really simple. I'm just gonna sort of put my hand way out here so it doesn't get burned. I can feel the hot air coming out, I can feel the steam. And what you're gonna do is you wanna do it away from the monofilament. You do not want to hit any of your monofilament features with this steam. You will warp your monofilament, that's no bueno. So we really wanna just kind of aim up and a little bit further away, not directly on the hair. It's safer this way. We're really just trying to heat the hair up with the steam so it maintains its position. And you want it to stay in that position until it cools. All right, it doesn't have to be dry because it's synthetic hair. You only need it to be cool. Okay, and I'm gonna do this even a little bit further down. It's still a little warm, so I'm gonna wait another second or two. That's really the trick, you just gotta wait till it cools. If you've ever had difficulty styling heat-friendly synthetic wigs, it could be that you're not letting that shape cool before you release it. You gotta make sure it cools before you let it go. And I'm really aiming for right here in an upward fashion, making sure I'm not hitting the lace. And again, you don't have to be right up on the hair. There's definitely a distance there.
There's definitely distance there, as you can see in the side view. And if you do accidentally hit the lace or any of the monofilament features directly with the steam, make sure you tap them down until they cool so that way you don't warp those features. Just gonna, again, and make sure when you're resting that you're positioning the steamer far away from the hair, so the flow of the steam is not going on the hair to make it take on weird shapes. So that's how you can get it just up and away. And if this is too harsh of a shape, well, guess what? That's easy to fix too. You just keep playing with it with the steam.
In this case, I'm gonna zap it with a little bit of steam. Don't be afraid to get right in there with your fingers as long as they're not right in the path of the steam. You will burn them that way. But you won't have to worry about that if you're touching the hair right after it's been zapped. And that way you can use your fingers to manually coax that hair. It gives you a lot of control. And no matter how many times I redo the same sections with steam, you don't hurt the hair. See? Isn't that fun?
Am I blowing your mind with this 80s bang yet? It's warm, so I'm just using my fingers to literally mold the hair into the shape I want.
I like that. Now that's gonna look like that, so it looks kind of weird. But then when it's dry, we'll brush it out and it'll look really cute and it will accomplish the goal. I'm gonna tilt this to the side a little bit and show you how to get the part to set. Same principle, zap, 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 zap. You're not touching the monofilament directly, and try not to hit that sectioning clip or else you'll end up with a crease you have to correct. Again, not hitting the monofilament. If you're worried, hold it further back and use your finger to block it. All right. There, just kind of reinforce the part just a smidge. All right, now I'm gonna let this dry and we'll see how it turns out. On to the Mila. This is a Mila by Jon Renau in FS27 that I used for a previous wig product review. She's got some flyaways, and look at this front. It just goes right in my face, which is sort of ridiculous. So we're gonna use the same techniques that we used earlier with only slight modification. You wanna use a little bit more caution about where your steam hits when you're dealing with curly and wavy wigs, because if you don't watch out, you're gonna end up flattening it out. So that's why these Jon Renau steamers are great for the wavy and curly wigs, because you can have more control over the direction of the steam flow, and you can have even more control if you want to use their tube tip that we're not using in this video. So I'm basically going to do here the same thing I did on the envy wig. I'm going to use this side first because it's going to be a little easier since there's not as much hair on the one side. I parted it on the side. So I'm going to just do what I did in the last video, where I'm going to spray it with steam and then I'm going to use my fingers to manipulate it where I want it to go. And you want to make sure you do not hit the monofilament features. That's real important. Show you in a little bit more detail where to aim on wavy and curly wigs, I wanted to just take a still image and show you on a little bit of hair where you should be aiming your steam. So the first thing you want to do is figure out where the curl or wave begins. So that's pretty easy to see. So let's go ahead and zoom in on that, shall we? CSI style. Enhance! Oh, technology. So I'm going to show you the safe range now for where you should position your steam. So it's a pretty decent range here. You can see it's right before the curl starts and nowhere near the monofilament. So again, if you don't want to straighten it out, stay away from the curls. And if you don't want to warp your monofilament, stay away from the monofilament. So take a look at this and then we'll move on to the rest of the tutorial. I'm not going to keep you in suspense any longer. I wanted to show you how the Mila turned out after she was dried. Basically, the technique I showed you earlier can be applied to do all sorts of things with the hair. I used it on this side of the wig, for instance, to sort of flatten out the top a little bit. I also strategically pinpointed little areas where there were lots of flyaways, so that way I could get them warm with the steam and then used my hand to slick it down into place until it cooled. It doesn't have to be dry, just has to be cool. And then see how much sleeker and straighter it is on this side? On this side, where I sort of steam the bangs away from my face and into this sort of 80s inspired wavy front area, I just got it warm and used my hands to manipulate it into place. I also wanted to give it a little bit more lift and make it hug my face a little bit more. All of that, you just manipulate it into place with your hands. That's it, just manipulate it into place. And keep playing with it, zapping it with steam, and playing with it some more until you get the shapes you want. It's really not hard at all, as long as you follow the guidelines that are in this video. And this, as I said earlier, is a great way to tame flyaways, because you can go from this to this pretty easily. All you have to do is zap, zap, press, wait for it to cool, no more flyaways. Now I will caution you against the temptation to use this technique to flatten out permatease in a permatease wig. That's usually a pretty bad idea. And the reason why it's a bad idea to do that is because permatease isn't just cosmetic, it's a structural feature in the cap of the wig. If you straighten all that permatease out, not only will you flatten out the hair, which is what most people are trying to do when they do that, but you will also reveal all of the wefting that permatease is designed to conceal in an open cap wig, which you don't want, because then it's going to look really obvious that you're wearing a wig. So if you buy permatease wigs, make peace with the fact that the permatease exists. Otherwise, save up for monofilament, because if you really hate permatease, that's really the only way to get away from it. So with that little caveat aside, this technique can be used in all sorts of ways to give your wigs new shapes, to straighten them. You can even curl them this way, pretty easy. You can do it with your fingers, or you can get a roller. Don't use foam rollers, they absorb too much moisture. Instead, use curl formers, use regular magnetic rollers, use something of that extent, and then zap it, beep, 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 with the steam, let it cool in position, release. So you can do all sorts of things, and they're all easy. And the best part of all, if you screw them up, you can totally redo it. You can reapply steam as many times as you want. It's never gonna hurt the hair. I almost forgot the ultimate test. Check this out. So we went from that to this. And in full disclosure, I may actually zap this wig again, and I may have to periodically re-zap it to tame the flyaways. There's quite a bit of broken hair on this wig. I don't know what's up with John Renault, but sometimes their wigs have a lot of broken hairs on them because the fiber is so very fine and denier. So I'm actually probably going to have to re-zap this a few times throughout the life of the wig to keep the flyaways at bay. So if you still see a couple, reapply steam, rinse, repeat, right? But yeah, that is more or less how you do this stuff with steam, and it's great. It gives you a lot of power, a lot of control over your style, so you now have the same technology at your fingertips that the wig companies themselves use to style Futura and Canicolon synthetic fibers. But how do you think they put this curl in to begin with? Steam. Now you know. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, share this one. We don't make money per view count, so you can be comfortable sharing this information with your friends in case you think it's going to help them out, you know. And also, keep voting on your favorite questions on the comment sections of these AMA videos. I had some ideas already sort of stored away, like this one and the one that I did last week and the week prior. But eventually, I'm going to need new ideas, and that's what I want to get from you guys. So make sure you keep voting and giving us your suggestions, and we'll keep making these videos for you. I don't know about you, but I find these videos very exciting. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for commenting and sharing and subscribing. Thank you so much for all of that, because when you do those things and aren't just a passive observer of the content we make on our channel, it gives us more ability to do more stuff for you. Likewise, if you shop in our store, we put that money to good use for you by making videos like this. So if you want to keep them coming, help us do this by shopping at my store, CysterWigs. And until next time, have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.